Hey guys, it's Brett Dahlman with Hickory Hill Ag. Just want to do a quick video showing you our new seed treater we just got in, I think last Friday. It's a USC AT500. USC's out of Sabetha, Kansas. Actually used to work for those guys, sold seed treating equipment for those guys for several years. This is a little AT500, it's fully automated. I just want to do a walk around on this and kind of show everybody how this thing works and why I chose this treater for my business. So first thing, this is actually a 4x4 floor scale sitting up here that they cut a hole in the middle of it. And what you do is you take one of those pro boxes, those seed boxes over there, and you put it up on top of here, and you open again that seed box. Then on the automation, you'll go in there and plug in how fast you want to run the seed flow through there. So maybe 800 pounds a minute or whatever. And it will regulate that seed flow with this metering gate. There's a metering gate right up in here. It's a dyadic actuator is what they call it. And basically it's reading the loss and weight of that scale up there and metering and regulating the flow rate of that seed to match what you want to run. So it'll then drop it down through there into the treatment chamber or the atomizing chamber. This is kind of the heart of the treater. So your seed treatment will come up through this line here, drop down into this atomizing head. This head's spinning at about 1700 RPM. And what it's doing is it's atomizing or it's misting that seed treatment as that curtain of seed comes down around it. So it's getting that initial seed contact right here in this chamber. From there it'll drop down into this polycupped auger, and that's where it gets its final mixing and agitation and drying. So then it'll go back into a box, of course. So it's a box-to-box setup. This thing has 2 tanks, 2 flow meters, 2 pumps. Those come into this manifold bank here on the treater. So you got each individual treatment coming in here. And they go through what we call a static mixer. There's a static mixer that blends everything right here. And that's brought up through here into the atomizing chamber. So pretty simple really how that works. I also have a dry additive feeder for it, so if you want to put like a seed finisher on or a dry inoculant or something like that, you can put it through this little device. Turn it on hand there. So you can see it's got a little agitation in there and then a little auger. And you'd adjust the rate of that auger speed based off of how fast the treater's running and your application rate of that product you're putting on. That comes through that little stub auger there. Right here, comes through that auger, and then drops down into the top side of the polycupped auger where it gets applied to the seed and mixed and tumbled and all that kind of stuff. So, pretty neat little guy. Shut that off. Like I said earlier, this thing has 2 tanks. They both have agitation in the tanks. See the little boat paddle in there? Sure they agitate it pretty good. They both have flow meters and peristaltic pumps. So here's the flow meters right here. And then here's the peristaltic pump for each tank. So it's a squeeze or roller type pump. These are all tied into the automation. So you plug in your application rate and how fast you want to run the treater, and the flow meters are going to regulate the speed of those pumps basically. So fully automated, just like the bigger drum treaters. Screen here, it's a touch screen, just like the fully automated bigger treaters or the bulk site, stuff like that. So I can put chemical recipes in there, all my seed profiles, my seed varieties, lot number, seed sizes are all in there. It has full reporting, so it'll timestamp everything, give you date and time, what was put on, how many ounces were applied, all that kind of stuff. Pretty neat really. All fully automated. So yeah, so the reason I went with this treater instead of like a big drum treater, which is probably more common, is for one, the footprint of this thing is so much smaller than a drum treater where you're usually feeding it with a 25-foot or 20-foot conveyor, and then you got to take the seed away with this, a 25 or 30-foot conveyor, and then you got the big long drum and stuff like that. So it's a lot smaller, more compact. I can actually put it in the back of my truck and go haul somewhere and do custom work for somebody somewhere in the state. I also like the polycup auger a lot. It does just as good a job mixing and coating as a drum does. And some research that I've known about for several years from Ohio State actually shows that a polycup auger causes the least amount of damage on seed germination. So it's very gentle, and I'll show you here on my iPad some research, a little graph, kind of a visual of the germination loss on a polycup auger versus a steel auger or a brush auger and also a belt conveyor. So you can kind of see the damage of that and how that equipment affects your germination, which could be a big deal with kind of the seed quality being kind of tough this year from last year's drought. So you can kind of see here, this is Ohio State that did this test. But on the polycup flighting, which is exactly what this has right here, you see a 1.5% germination loss versus the belt conveyor, which is almost a 6. And of course, your steel auger and brush auger being the worst at 6.7. It's quite a big loss in germination running through one piece of equipment. So that's another reason, a big factor actually why I chose this thing. Speed-wise, it's about the same as like an LP800, drum treater, which is about 800 pounds a minute. So I'll probably have this thing run about 800 pounds a minute. I think it tops out at about 1,000 pounds a minute. But yeah, very excited to get this thing running and offering this, for our customers here at Hickory Hill Ag Services. So have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.